any young person who has to care, whether that's mentally or physically for someone, and it's not like if they live with them, even if it's someone like their grandparent who they don't live with.
Something that I want people to understand about young carers is that it can be difficult for us, but we are human like you.
As a teenager, you're meant to be living your life, just have like loads of freedom, and freedom is like a really big thing for me.
My biggest issue, and probably one of the reasons why I completely denied being a young carer, was because you have this image that it's what you see on Children in Need, and it's those really extreme circumstances.
A lot of people think that, it's just you're helping somebody in your own house, they're a family, because I'm from an Asian background, so it's expected of you to do it. It's meant to be normal, but it isn't normal, because as a child you should be outside playing, you should be, you shouldn't have to think about what if this happens if I'm not home.
We're not a minority, we're quite common, if that makes sense, where you don't know young carers. It's like invisible disabilities. You can't look at someone and go, oh, they're a young carer. We're here, we might not be seen as often, but at the end of the day we're here and we need supported as like everyone else.
My experience locked in being a young carer is that because I don't live with my mum anymore, I basically couldn't see her at all, and that also hurt because I couldn't see my little sister either. So I know they both really kind of have to look after each other, which is hard for the both of them.
I really struggled to find respite, especially at the beginning. Like, my respite is usually going to a coffee shop with a friend and ranting for an hour or two. Obviously, with all that being shut and I couldn't go and see my friends, like, I wanted somebody outside of my family to be able to talk to.
It's been quite difficult. With my caring role has kind of immensely grown, and my coping mechanisms have just kind of gone out the window. So for me, school was kind of a coping mechanism that was taken away, and it was kind of a rush to try and figure out how I could kind of save myself mentally. Lockdown in general was a confusing time for everyone, and as a young carer, it was, if I could sum it up in one word, I would say stressful.
There are days where you feel very frustrated and you just want to get out of the house and you just want to meet your friends and have a laugh and have fun, but you were unable to do that. But even before lockdown and before the coronavirus even happened, I never got the chance to do that anyway. I never really had like a social life.
So my experience of lockdown was probably a bit different from other people's. As a member of the Scottish Youth Parliament, I was up to quite a lot of advocacy work. Myself and the Carers Trust MSYP, one of them, Ella Cuthbertson, and myself set up Supermarkets for Change. That was contacting supermarkets to try and get them to allow young carers in at this specific time. So yeah, Supermarkets for Change was a campaign, and we set it up to get people to contact like local supermarkets to ask for young carers to be allowed in during the like set hours for like the vulnerable. It was quite ironic actually. The week of us setting it up, I was denied entrance to a supermarket with my mum and my brother, the two people I care for, because you were only allowed to.
For me, was just getting to stay inside and to spend more time with my boyfriend's family and him, and kind of also pushed me to go to college, because it kind of made me think, what am I going to do next year? So I applied for college and I'm in college. That was a really good thing that happened.
I'm part of like the YOLO Sisters group from Multicultural Family Base. They sent art supplies and they sent like loads of things. So if I was really 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 stressed, I would like get my watercolors out and I would like paint something, and like I have a few paintings. That was a positive. Like I got a new skill. I love reading, but I never used to have time to read, so I had time to like get new books and read, and just it was like a little escape.
It did make me understand how important my respite was and how important I needed to look after myself to then be able to look after my family and be there for my mum, and I guess be that support system for my dad as well, because even though I don't care for my dad, I'm still his support as he is the full-time carer. And I guess I just realised how important it is for me to be there for him, as well as also take a back seat and be like, no, I need space as well. Like, I need to go and do something for myself and kind of take charge in that way. So I guess that was quite positive.
I think if there was anything I would need to support more during lockdown, would probably be on the financial end. I know from talking to other young carers, the feeling of, are we going to have the money there to get meals next week or pay the electricity or pay the gas? It was daunting, and I know for a lot of young carers that you feel like you're in no man's ground because you want to go to education, you want to go to uni full time to go and get a better job in the future, but then at the same time you can't get supported for your caring role because the government says you're at uni full time, so you can't get that carer's allowance.
I think support I could have used during lockdown was just being in communication with doctors more, because my mum was in and out of hospital as well, and it was quite scary for her because she doesn't like hospitals, and with all the COVID testing and all that, she was getting freaked out. But then I also couldn't go see her to reassure her because I wasn't allowed to.
Maybe being able to, like with the vulnerable, like, you know how they had the like vulnerable single parent households, being able to meet other people. I guess at that point being able to say, if you're a carer, you can go and see someone else, you can create a bubble with somebody else as well, so you can get that support. To be fair, that would probably would have been very helpful for me.
I feel like just being checked up on. Everyone was in the same situation where we were all home, we couldn't leave our houses, we didn't know what was happening with the world. But when you have the added stress of having to look after somebody, and you know, there's stress of that, then when you have more pressure on you to like go outside and do the shopping, especially in such a weird time, being checked up on, having just somebody to talk to, like, where you can just say what you like and you don't have to worry about, oh, I shouldn't have said this or I shouldn't have said that.
I think what we need to change firstly is the stigma around young carers and the picture it paints. I know that's why I kind of got more involved in like young carer advocacy work, is because they say the centre came into the school and they played a video of a young boy caring for his brother with autism, and that's what I do. So and someone said how horrible it would be to be a young carer and how weird it is, and it upset me. But then at the end of the day, I thought I could use my role to like advocate for young carers. So I think before we do anything, we need to get rid of the stigma, and it's not just with young people. That's like society wide. There's that stigma painted of young carers.
Just raise awareness about it. Like, honestly, I just feel like we should educate adults as well, kids as well, about young carers, because there are so many, like there are probably millions of children out there who probably have caring roles, but they aren't even recognized as young carers. Like, they're not even in the system.
I think more support that would need to be in place in the future for young carers would definitely be like more communication networks. So if they can't get to groups, then have definitely things over online to help them out, or having just one-to-ones over the phone, speaking with family, anything like that, just messages, not constantly, but just checking up on them definitely would be really helpful.
Biggest things for me is how nobody still really knows like the big like signs of what a young carer could look like in a primary school classroom, and I guess that's big for me going into being a primary teacher. That would be something I feel very strongly about, is getting into the schools, telling them, giving them all the resources and the training that they need to be able to support their young carers, because there's a lot more of them than you think.
As a society, we need to kind of look at our most vulnerable groups and kind of figure out what we need to do to help them. And I think we need to talk with them directly. So for young carers, I think we need to have more mental health support. We need to have kind of policies in place. So if something does go down, then they are in place straight away and there isn't time faffing about trying to make them.
If you think you are a young carer, you shouldn't be ashamed of it. You should come out and ask for support. Speak to your teachers, speak to somebody you know, maybe a young carer that you know, see if you can get some support, because if you can get the support, it's worth it. Because I was very, very, very wary about getting support, because I don't, again, like the way I've been brought up, help is seen as a bad thing. So it shouldn't be a bad thing. That's what I think.